Hey, this is Russell, and I work at the video store, the place that we can all go to every week when it's movie night. On days like today, when the store is quiet, I get to watch movies and series and talk about them with my friends that work here. All right, let's do it. Let's open up the shop.
Did you see that thing yesterday on the TV? It was ready, interesting!
Good morning, guys.
Morning, Russell.
How are you? You guys were almost in pitch. We have ourselves a G-Force today. How are you, Graeme?
Hello, and yourself.
Lekker, man. And we've got
Nice.
Marigold back.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
It's been a while since Marigold has been on.
Yeah,
It has been a minute.
it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice to catch up.
Yes, I agree.
When not working a shift at the video store, Graeme is an editor,
Yes,
amongst many things.
correct.
You've also got a history in writing, hey?
Yeah, Cole and I wrote a bunch of stuff back in the film school days.
Yeah.
And I wrote all our films together.
But you call yourself an editor.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yes.
When not working a shift, Marigold is a very celebrated tattoo artist.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Hey,
yeah.
where are you working these days?
We have a private studio in Blackgowrie.
Okay.
I
and what
work
is-
with Chris DeVille. So it's just a tiny little spot.
Yeah. What is it called?
We don't.
That
have a
we
name.
don't have a name.
It's
Ooh,
a
you're
private.
that cool. You are that cool and that private that you don't have a name. And when I don't work at the video store, I am the owner of the Bioscope, which
Yes.
is a cinema here in Johannesburg. Welcome to the video store. Thank you for wandering into our video store. We have lots of very cool movies and series on our shelves, and we'd love to share it all with you.
Yeah.
This is our Clerks episode, so this is just us behind the counter having a fat chat about the movies and the series that we are watching. On Thursdays, some weeks, we have ourselves a guest episode. This is when an interesting customer of ours pops into the video store to rent something. This week, we are going to have a guest. We're going to have Angie Battis-Durant. She is a fascinating and lovely and amazing person.
Cool.
She is a photographer, a blogger, so many things you'll see. She's been behind a bunch of really significant and amazing businesses in Joburg that you maybe, if you know her, you know this, or you're going to discover the people behind some of these amazing spots that you remember, like Wolves Cafe,
Okay.
Father Coffee,
Oh,
a bunch
right.
of things.
Okay.
So she's lovely. She also happens to be the wife of Shane Durant, who is the singer of Desmond and the Tutus.
Yes.
But I
okay.
love how that's like, that's only down the line.
Yeah.
So that's going to be on Thursday. So tune in for that.
Nice.
But as a nice way for the three of us to get started, we've developed a fun little game here, which is called Hey, Did You Guys See? Which is our quick lightning round of news. This is in the world of film and TV, but also just in general life.
Yeah.
And so we're going to go round, and each of us are going to give us a Hey, Did You Guys See? Should I start?
Sure.
Okay. Let me pull this up. Hey, did you guys see the tabletop game Exploding Kittens has a
Yes.
TV show,
I did check that out.
and it is
yeah.
on Netflix. Have
Yeah.
you started
Right.
watching it?
I haven't. I'm very keen though. But I saw that I was like, and having a chat about Exploding Kittens the other day, and then it just popped up, and
Have
I was
you
like,
ever-
okay.
Right.
Have you ever played the game?
I
No.
haven't.
I haven't, and I sell it at the Bioscope. So let me tell you what I did. I've got good friends that work in the world of gaming
Right.
and these tabletop games.
Yes.
And I was like, we should stock games at the Bioscope. I don't know whether, because Marigold, you worked with us
Yeah.
at the Bioscope for many years. So
And Exploding Kittens was there.
it was always there.
It was always there.
What I did is I looked at their bestsellers list,
Right.
and I, honest to God, just picked the ones with the coolest names.
Right.
So Unstable Unicorns, Exploding Kittens, Bear versus Babies, Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza, which, by the way, is the greatest fucking game in the world.
Cool.
But anyway, so I've never played it, but now the TV show exists. It's on
Okay.
Netflix. It's animated. God is up in heaven and is kind of losing the faith of his board. And so they send him down to earth to like do some good in the
Right.
form of a cat. So he is now this cat in this house that is like the God cat who knows he's God, but has to sort of help this family. And then it seems like hell gets the same idea from seeing what they did with God,
Right.
and so they send like the devil up, and so now the two cats are in this neighborhood sort of fighting each other.
Right.
I love that.
It's ridiculous
Hell of a concept.
and it's fun.
nice.
Cool. Graham?
Hey, did you guys see a trailer for a movie called A Different Man?
Ah, yes, with the weird
Sebastian
faces.
Stan, yes.
Have you seen that?
It looks really interesting.
It's bizarre.
So
it's like a
it's-
body horror, but
Okay.
dark, but weird.
Kind of. So Sebastian Stan plays a guy with a condition. I've got it here. It's called neurofibromatosis, which is a
Okay.
real thing.
Okay.
Which means it's a condition where you grow like non-cancerous tumors, just like randomly. And there's a particular guy who's in the film named Adam Pearson who has this.
Okay.
You can look up pictures of him. This dude here. He's been in a few movies.
Yeah, it looks like
This
a
guy.
big, melty,
Yeah.
sort of like, imagine like mashed potato
Yes.
face. Yeah.
And then, so Sebastian Stan plays a character with the same condition. He undergoes some sort of experimental thing to like cure it, basically. And then Adam Pearson plays him in a play based on his life. And he becomes like obsessed with this guy. And like,
So kind of like Birdman obsession.
kind of, yeah,
Okay.
like sort of like who he used to be in a way. And like, is his life actually better now that his face is normal, so to speak?
Because
Yeah.
now he's handsome
Yes.
and he sort of longs to be this kind of weird freak again.
Kind of, yeah.
That's what you get the sense from in the
Yes.
trailer.
Yeah.
Sebastian Stan was, amongst many things, he was Tommy in Pam and Tommy.
Yes.
He was the Winter Soldier in the big Marvel movies.
I was going to say, of all the people who have kind of like launched their careers from the MCU, he seems to be the one who's kind of doing the most interesting stuff.
That's a good point.
He's
yeah.
kind of like taking the most advantage of it, not to just make like blockbusters and like shitty Netflix movies. He's like making like real movies
Interesting.
and like,
Yeah.
you know, flexing
Yeah.
the acting muscle. But I think it looks really good. I think it looks really
A
good.
different man.
A different man, yeah.
Okay, and we'll see what kind of shape and form it comes in South Africa. You know,
Yeah.
some of these more obscure films don't even make it to
Yeah.
cinemas.
Yeah.
So let's see.
I know
what
it has
happens.
been screened at like some festivals and stuff overseas, and it's getting pretty positive feedback. So.
Yeah, that's the first round. If someone didn't know that a film will try and play in as many festivals as possible to
Yeah.
get those laurels, to get those little awards, and that helps the currency to determine who buys it and how they buy
Yes.
it and how they distribute it. So the longevity of a film can be determined by how well it does in film festivals.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, Marigold,
So I have a few.
you got to start. You got to start with hey, did you guys see?
Hey, did you guys see the trailer for Maxine?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the whole
You
sort
haven't
of
seen
trailer.
the-
I know of it. It's come to cinemas, but not South Africa.
Yes. And I think if we could at the bioscope.
It would be amazing. We would have to do some secret little covert screening
Yes.
just for ourselves. But yeah, this is the end of a trilogy. Hey?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's X, Pearl,
Pearl.
and Maxine. Yeah.
You see, I didn't know about this.
Yeah, it's sort of like a low-key trilogy. Like they haven't really advertised it as.
But it's become almost like this
Yes.
cult classic
Yeah.
now. It's like people are obsessed with Pearl. There's like certain scenes. I remember when it was coming out where people would just Pearl was
Yeah.
everywhere.
Did Pearl ever make it to cinemas in South Africa?
Yeah, I think it did.
Because I asked the distributors who handle this kind of content. I said, "Are we going to get Maxine?" And they said it's not on the
Oh,
cards,
interesting.
which is strange. Do you have to watch all the do you have to watch them in order, or do they stand alone?
Well, we watched Pearl first, and then we watched X.
Which is meant to come first,
Yeah.
or which came first?
I think Pearl
X is first. Was released first. at
was
least.
released first,
Yeah.
but Pearl is set before X.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, but is it the same universe? Or,
Same
Yeah,
universe,
the same like
yeah.
main character, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen any of them either, but I'll kind
Okay,
of-
so these are these cool indie horrors that
Mm-hmm.
are coming out through like a A24 type channel,
Yeah.
and they garnering this cool like cult following.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So Maxine is something that you
I'm so
keen to seek
excited.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of I think it's come out now
Yeah.
in other parts of the world. Unfortunately, not South Africa.
Oh, see, X and Pearl both came out in 2022. That's interesting
Mm.
that they get them both out in the same year.
Okay. Speaking of weird, creepy horrors,
Oh, yes.
hey, did you guys see that there was a screening of Longlegs in the States that was interrupted by the FBI
Really?
because a serial killer was in the movie and they
Wow.
caught
Oh my
him
God.
and arrested him in the movie watching
my
a serial
Lord.
killer movie.
Oh my God.
So Longlegs is out in cinemas, including the Bioscope.
Yes.
Cha-ching. And it is a very similar to the X's and Pearls of the world, this kind of cool, artistic, smart, very precise horror. So not like silly, schlocky
Yes.
scream horror. And Osgood Perkins is the filmmaker. Very divisive. Some people absolutely love it. Some people
Yeah.
have had problems with it. But that's what makes good stuff, right?
Yes.
It's not meant for everyone. But it is about a serial killer. The killer is called Longlegs. Very mysterious, very crazy, kooky role played by Nicolas Cage. You don't know much. Everything's very shrouded in mystery until you actually see him. So yeah, very much about the mind. It's very cerebral. And so you could imagine if you were a serial killer, you might want to choose that if you want to go and watch a movie on a Friday night.
Yeah.
So interesting. Very similar to the upcoming premise Trapped.
I was about to say. I was about to bring that up. The new M. Night Shyamalan film.
Yeah. Do you
Is
know
a
about
very
that?
similar
I
Mary?
don't.
premise.
But we watched an M. Night Shyamalan
Shamalama Ding Dong. Yeah.
film last night. We watched Knock on the Cabin or something
Yeah,
like that.
Knock at the Cabin.
Knock
Okay.
at the Cabin.
He's been behind more than you think.
Oh, yeah.
He was the writer of She's All That.
It's bizarre.
It's wild. But there's a movie coming out later, in a couple of weeks, I
Yeah.
think, called Trap. Trapped.
Trap. Yeah, Trap.
It's just called Trap.
Yeah.
And it stars, hunky 90s fucking, what's his name?
Josh Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett, who's now making this kind of much more like adult comeback,
He's
which
back.
is great.
I love Josh Hartnett. He's a
And
great actor.
What we know from the trailer is that they are attending this kind of Madison Square Garden-esque concert
Yes.
from a sort of Lady Gaga-esque singer.
So it's him and his daughter.
It's him and his daughter.
Yes.
And it gets discovered that, because he says to the guy at the merch stand, "What's with all the police?"
Yeah.
And the guy says, I shouldn't be telling you this, but the FBI, whatever, are setting this huge trap because apparently the killer, this particular killer that everybody knows about, that's chopped up a bunch of people, apparently he's at this show. So they've designed this whole thing to be a trap to get this person. And then the trailer alludes to the fact that this is Josh Hartnett.
Yeah.
The dad, the sweet dad.
Yes.
All of a sudden, the trailer shows you, he sort of goes into a bathroom cubicle and looks at some surveillance camera and there's a guy tied up. So we know old Shyamalan
Yes.
Yeah.
is smarter,
Yeah, are they giving that away?
and
If that's
he's
like-
only giving something away. There has to be
Exactly.
some big
But
twist.
But this was the thing, and we were having this conversation last night, myself and Seth, about these horror movies, and that it gives away so much.
Yeah.
Because when it comes around to my turn again, there's another film that I would like to talk about. But the trailer gives away everything, and then M. Night Shyamalan, he in Knock at the Woods or whatever it was called, everything was given away. The first beginning of the film is exactly the same as the trailer.
Right.
Yeah, so it kind of like we both, after watching a very, very, very scary horror movie, going into that, we were like, oh, but we know what's happening, so it's okay.
Right.
It's like a little bit of calm after.
Okay. Yeah, I that's the thing, is that I look at the trailer for Trap and I'm like, there has to be more to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There has to be a whole nother spin to it, because
Yeah.
at this point, surely this isn't the
Exactly.
the twist.
Surely they wouldn't put that in the trailer.
Yeah. So they obviously,
Yeah.
you have to believe there's smarter
Yeah.
people involved in
Exactly.
this marketing. Cool. It's your turn.
Sure. Hey, did you guys see the trailer for Batman Caped Crusader?
No.
This is a new animated series
Okay.
from Bruce Timm, who's the guy who did Batman, the animated series back in the day in the 90s.
People really love that.
It is an incredible show. It holds up like unbelievably well.
Yeah.
It kind of became like the like definitive versions of those characters for a lot of people. Like Kevin Conroy as Batman. He passed away a few years ago, unfortunately, so he's not Batman anymore. But like his voice as Batman, he's done it like dozens and dozens of times. Mark Hamill as the Joker. Like that show invented Harley Quinn.
Okay.
A lot of stuff came out of that show. Now he's doing a new show. J.J. Abrams is producing.
Okay, so that's a big deal. Big Hollywood is involved.
And
Okay.
it was originally, I assume, going to be on like HBO Max or whatever. But for whatever reason, they dropped it, and now Amazon picked it up.
Okay.
Which is a weird choice, but
they've been doing a lot of animated stuff.
yeah, like Invincible and all that sort of stuff as well.
Okay.
But it looks really good.
And
like
what is it called?
It's called Batman Caped Crusader,
Okay.
and it's like Bruce Timm was talking about it. Like this is kind of they're doing stuff they couldn't do in the old animated show because that was like a kid show,
Okay.
and now this is obviously skewing much more adult.
Okay.
So they're kind of going like, cool, this is like the adult version of that show, but obviously like new cast, new animation, all that stuff.
Interesting. Of all the the animated kids stuff, it's just interesting to see what lives on.
Yeah.
And I remember chatting to a sort of real like geeky dude, grown up geeky guy, and he was like, "No, the animated show is special.
Yeah.
The Batman animated show. It's
Yeah.
a little bit like the X-Men series.
Yeah.
And you can see why it's been given a new life with
Yes.
X-Men 97 on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Which is a great show.
What is it on?
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus.
Yeah. But yeah, our Batman animated series is on. It's on a few things. I think it's on Prime. I think it's on Netflix as well.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah,
out there.
amazing
It's
that of
easy to
all
get. It's
that
easy to
stuff-
find.
Of all that stuff that was made, it's interesting to see what kind of lives
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it continues. Okay.
I mean, I'm excited.
Lovely. When does it start? Do you know?
I'm not sure. Sometime later this year. I think like August or something maybe.
Okay. You see, this is what I was talking about. When we had the writer's strike last year,
Yes.
there was no ability to give good warning of what was coming up because no one was able to promote.
Yeah.
So the whole first year of 2024 suffered because for the whole second half of last year, nobody could be going, hey, there's this coming. Hey, there's this
Yeah.
coming. Yeah, check this trailer. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Okay. 1st of August.
Cool. Soon.
Yeah.
All right. Marigold?
It's not a new movie, but hey, have you guys seen Us? Jordan Peele's
No.
Us.
I want to see it.
Terrifying. We watched it last night and we were so scared. Like, there's a part of me that, like, going back to what I was saying about trailers, is disappointed that I saw the trailer.
Right.
And for people that haven't seen it, I almost don't want to give away too much
Yes.
because I feel like the experience would have been so much better if I hadn't been like, oh, that's going to happen, And you kind of don't want the trailer to reveal who the monsters are
Yes.
immediately.
What can you say is the back of the box?
Back of the box, little girl has a holiday with her family. She goes into this place, this room full of mirrors. It's like an amusement park. And she sees her own reflection, but her own reflection moves. Now it goes to the future, and it's that story kind of starts unfolding now.
Okay.
What did she see in the basement at this amusement park? But what's really cool as well is it's a majority black cast in a horror movie.
Yeah.
Lupita Nyong'o is
Yeah.
the main chick. Hey.
And the acting was incredible. And Seth and I were trying to figure out why we were so scared. We usually watch horror movies together. It's just, especially when we're feeling a little bit fragile, which isn't the best thing to do.
That's an interesting
But it's like
psychology.
It's like our lives could be worse,
Okay. Yeah.
And we were watching. We were like, why did this one get us? And I think it is the acting completely. The actors. It was phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal.
I always think that that's the interesting part of horror. That came up in film school.
Right.
That comes up often, which is why is this scary?
Yeah.
Yes.
Apart from the
Yeah.
scare.
Yeah.
The
Exactly.
jump scare, it's cheap.
Yeah.
Right? We
Yeah.
can all I can hide behind the corner and give you a fright.
Yes.
That's
Exactly.
easy. But it's the unsettlingness.
Mm.
And I'll never forget things, and I've mentioned this before on the show, like why Nightmare on Elm Street was so scary was because it was in your dreams. It was
Yeah.
the bed used to be the safe space.
Yeah.
The monsters were under the bed or in the cupboard.
Yeah.
They were never in your bed. So the moment you got sucked into your own bed and your dreams became where you were haunted, that's why that was scary. Whether a little kid watching this could piece that together or not, is irrelevant. They
Yeah.
found that scary because whether they knew it or not, their bed had been invaded.
Yeah.
You know, or like Child's Play was because it was a doll.
Yeah.
Dolls shouldn't be scary, or clowns. Clowns should be fun. That's why it's
Yeah.
scary. It's like they've attacked the safe spaces. They've attacked the
Yes,
funny.
it's taking that mundane stuff
Yeah.
and making it frightening.
Yeah.
I went
there's
down
no-
a Jordan Peele rabbit hole, just kind of looking up all of his other horror movies. I'm
Oh, yes.
sure everyone's seen Get Out, and
Yeah.
but there was another one called Candyman, and we were having the conversation
yes.
about Candyman. And when I was little, my cousin used to freak me out with like Bloody Mary and Candyman. She used to turn off the lights, and she had like long nails, and she used to like scratch me with the lights off, so I would be
Jesus.
completely traumatized. So when we saw Candyman, I'd be like, I don't want to watch this.
'Cause that was a
this is gonna
remake.
play like completely on my psyche.
There was a Candyman film, and then he remade it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you had a different childhood, eh?
It was wacky.
I didn't have that happen to me.
Yeah, I was very scared of Bloody Mary. when I was little.
Where is Us available?
Us is available on Showmax. On Showmax, yes. Get Out as well.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they're smart. And, you know, if you've watched the comedy
Yeah.
of Key and Peele, and you know Jordan Peele,
Yeah.
you know that he understands genre.
Yes.
Because that's the point. That's actually the magic behind Key and Peele, their sketch show, is that they understand the genre of like the zombie movie, the alien movie,
Yes.
the sports comedy, the whatever. So they know all the buttons.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that he has now gone on to make and write and direct stuff.
Yeah.
And he has built those buttons perfectly, which is like
Yeah.
a horror movie
Yeah.
or a psychological thriller. And he understands how these movies need to be made.
Scary.
It's very cool.
So scary.
Okay, I've got one more. Hey, did you guys see that we are screening Fly Me to the Moon at the Bioscope,
Oh, yes.
which is a movie all about the moon landings,
Yeah.
which I realized now this is the anniversary of. This weekend was the anniversary of the moon landings. They happened
Right.
on the 20th of July, 1969.
69, yeah.
And so if I knew that a little while ago, I
Yeah.
would have programmed the Bioscope a bit more accordingly. We did screen Fly Me to the Moon on
Yes.
Saturday. It actually did have a whole bunch of people come.
Nice.
But I should have made a more bigger deal about like, this is the
This is the
anniversary of
Yes.
the moon
Yeah.
landings.
Aw.
It's a lovely film. It's really cool. It's all about the Apollo 11 mission to land on the moon. Channing Tatum is the lead of the NASA project.
Right.
This whole mission sort of very much rests on him. And the movie starts with NASA not getting a lot of funding, not getting a lot of public favor, because at the time in the 60s, there was the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
There was the civil rights movement. So there was lots of money that was needed in other places.
Kennedy had just been assassinated.
Exactly.
I was
He had said, let's put a man on the moon
Yeah,
for the end
that
of
was-
the decade.
Yes.
And so when there's the expensive mission to go to the moon, the public was like, we need to put this money here
Yeah.
in our back garden
Yes.
because people are fighting in the civil rights movement and we should stop the war in Vietnam. There was a lot of mess.
Yeah.
So Scarlett Johansson is a sassy, very talented media person who gets brought on by the government to help reinvigorate the public favor to support the moon
Like
missions.
market.
To market
the
them,
moon
yeah.
landing,
She
yes.
comes out of sort of this Mad Men-esque sort of ad agency,
Yeah.
and she comes and sort of upsets Channing Tatum's life.
Yeah.
And it's cute, and there's a little bit of chemistry, and then there's the fun joke around the fake moon landing. So what
Yeah.
happens is they are on course to land on the moon,
Yes.
but the same government who hired Scarlett Johansson says, we think you must, or not we think, we are telling you we want you to shoot a fake moon landing in case these guys don't do it for real.
Yeah.
And then conflict and
Yeah.
excitement
Okay.
ensues. So it's very fun. But yeah, it's cool that it's the anniversary of that.
Yeah.
And I'm not entirely sure whether the release of the film was timed around it. I don't
Oh, yeah.
think so, because it came out a few weeks ago. But it was cool that we hit the anniversary of that.
Okay.
That's awesome.
All right, should we talk about other things?
Yeah. Wait, I want to do one more.
Okay.
And I
This
also
is
have
going to be a
one more.
very, very short one.
Oh,
Hey,
sorry,
did you
one
guys see? They seem to actually be doing that Napoleon director's cut now. They spoke about it last year, and they were like, "There's going to be a director's cut," and then they went quiet on it.
Okay.
And
So-
then everybody's like, okay, it's obviously not happening now, but now it's been rated by the American Ratings Board. So everybody's like, oh, cool, they're actually going to release it now.
This is Ridley Scott's big epic
Yes.
film about Napoleon with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
That came out on Apple TV Plus,
Yeah, first cinemas, then went to Apple.
and it was a good stonking 3 hours long.
No, it was. It was about 22 and a half.
Okay.
And now there's a 4-hour director's cut coming out.
That's straight to TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one's going to sit in cinemas for 4
But I'm
hours.
excited about it because you could feel like that there was stuff missing from it.
Interesting.
Like you could tell like, okay, they wanted to explore that more, but they had to like pull it back for theaters.
Yeah, I mean, the guy had a big, crazy, epic life.
Yeah.
And he wasn't as short as you think.
Yeah.
That was
was just a
British
myth.
propaganda.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to probably come to Apple TV Plus
Yes.
at some point.
Probably late this year.
Perfect for television.
Yeah.
Great.
You can stop whenever you want.
Yeah, go have a wee.
Yeah.
Nice. Marigold, one more?
I have one last one. One more. Have you guys heard of American Horror Stories?
Okay.
Yeah.
Follow up to
Not-
American Horror Story.
Different. And why I liked it so much is because it isn't kind of like one season is just about a certain story, but this is an anthology series.
Oh, so it's an
Okay.
anthology within an anthology.
Exactly, yeah. So it's every episode is a little bit shorter. It's up to, I think the longest one would be about 45 minutes, but it's short stories of little folk tales and American Horror Stories. And I thought it was a way better, what's the right
Sort of
word?
setup.
The setup,
package.
Yeah.
Like use of the
Then-
premise.
Exactly. Then American Horror Story, because I feel like American Horror Story has gone a little bit flat.
Okay.
So to have different writers and
That's
doing
very cool.
each episode.
You can imagine the writer's room with them going, okay, well, what is our next season's story going to be?
Yes.
And there being a whole bunch and everyone going, these don't warrant a whole season. They actually just warrant one show.
Yeah.
And then someone going, hey, let's...
do
Yeah.
an anthology. Yeah.
That
So it's
like
a little bit
concept
like-
that actually appeals to me a lot more than like
It's good.
whole seasons of like one story and then a whole season of a whole different story.
Yeah, it's
And
like,
it always starts strong, American Horror Story. It always starts super strong. And then there's just like this weird little bit. And then it can either end incredibly or it ends like, oh, guys, that was way too many hours of my life.
you
Like,
got the landing. And that was probably them trying to milk a show
yeah.
Yes.
for more than it was worth.
Yeah.
I love the Black Mirror concept. And it really felt like Black Mirror was the first show that did that for me, which is
Yeah.
that there is this unified theme and idea, but every episode is vastly different from the rest.
The Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
So
Jordan Peele going to do his
Yeah.
remake.
I actually haven't seen his remake.
I
don't know if
watched
it's any
one
good or not.
episode, but
Okay.
I think I definitely want to dive a little deeper into it.
Because the original holds up really well
Really
considering how
well,
old
yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Like,
where
it's a
can you
very
see
good
the
show.
original
I
Twilight
actually
series?
don't know. I remember it being when it was still broadcast TV was like a thing. I remember seeing episodes of it there, but I have no idea where you get it these days.
And where is Jordan Peele's remake?
That's another good question. I actually don't know.
Okay, it was probably made for some American
Yeah.
TV show or
Network, yeah, I
something.
don't know.
Yeah, I don't
look
think
it up
you can
quick and-
stream it.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what have we been watching? You watched Us, GeForce?
So I finished, because it just finished last week, it would have been, The Acolyte,
Okay.
which is the new Star Wars series on Disney+. It ends a lot better than it starts.
okay.
Like
so
it
it's worth
gets it gets a lot significantly better towards the end once they get to the point. And it
what-
takes its
and
time
what's
to
the
get to
point?
the point. Well, I don't want to spoil
Okay.
things. But it's nice to see Star Wars kind of playing a little more ambiguously. Star Wars has always been very binary in terms of like good and evil. Like these are good characters, these are bad characters.
Yes.
This is what makes them bad, this is what makes them good. Like to see characters that are like they're doing horrible things, but they're kind of doing them for the right reasons. And like it does a thing which I like. It's one of the few things I like about the prequels, which is how the prequels are sort of all about how terrible the Jedi are.
Yeah,
They're just a
that's what
shit institution that are just built on like ridiculous notions.
Yeah, that's what
And
I've,
it like really doubles down on that.
that's what I've come to realize as more of an adult, is that
Yes.
there is more to that.
Yeah, that's
Not-
like the thing I find the most interesting there. And I'll say, we often say this thing where we look at movies and, or at least a lot of people say that should have been a series. It would have been better if that movie was a series. People said about June. People say that about like long movies. People say about The Eternals, that sort of thing. This is a series that should have been a movie.
Interesting.
I think this would have worked better as like a 2.5 hour package as opposed to like an 8-episode series.
But a bit toiter.
Yeah, exactly. Because like I'm saying, like it gets good once it gets to the point, and it should have gotten to the point faster.
Okay.
And the last like 2 episodes where it gets to the point is where it like kind of gets good.
And that's also the same with American Horror Story. I
Okay,
found
yes.
exactly. It was like, get to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always that sort of episode 3 or 4 where it's like,
Yes.
it's just a bit meh.
It's
Yeah.
dragging. You're dragging
So like
it out.
if you're watching to get through the first 4, and then watch the second half of the season when it actually gets interesting.
Okay. Speaking of tight and concise TV shows,
Oh yes,
I'm on a little bit of a sports docuseries tip.
yes,
I mentioned last week Sprint,
yes.
which is very cool to watch, and I'm just going to say it again. It is about it's the classic Netflix. Let's get into the characters and talk about a sport series. Done the best as Drive to Survive, which is the Formula One show that has changed the course of Formula One history.
Literally, yeah.
They then clearly commissioned every other fucking sport under the
Yeah.
sun. So you got Full Swing, which is golf. You got the fucking tennis one. But Sprint is interesting. Sprint is about the sprinters.
Right.
The 100 meters and the 200 meters, which is what's considered the fastest people in the world.
Yeah.
It is basically a challenge and a story between America and Jamaica, who are famously the good sprinters. But it is delightful to watch
Right.
because the Olympics are on the corner.
Yes.
Right.
And ahead of the Olympics, you are going to see and feel like you know the characters of this story that's going to play
Right.
out. Where you know this guy, Noah Lyles, and you've learnt about these Jamaican women, and they are fucking phenomenal people.
Yeah.
They are interesting characters. There's one in particular that just warms your heart from Jamaica.
All right.
She's like consistently been so good, but she's now older than she should be, but
Right.
she's a mom, and she's just got this character that just is incredible. And there's just something so simple about the gun goes off and you just got to run as fucking fast as possible.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's not strategy. I mean,
Yeah.
there are strategies to some
Yeah.
degree, but it is 90% mental.
Yeah.
And it's 90% what happens just in that moment. Did you manage to get off the block a split second before the others? But at the end of the day, there's something so simple and primal about it's just running in a line.
Yeah.
So Sprint is cool, but then there's another one that's just cropped up about Simone Biles, who is the American gymnast, young black American gymnast, who is considered, you could argue, like arguably the best athlete in the world based on her success relative to everyone else. It's just 2 episodes, so that's what I'm saying. Nice, short, and concise.
Okay.
And more is coming, they say, in August.
Okay.
Because they will obviously be filming her success
At the
or
Olympics.
what she
Olympics,
does
yeah.
at the Olympics, and
Okay.
that'll make more episodes.
All right.
But also just paints the picture of this person, this young black woman coming in at a time when, like, just the politics of, like, what a gymnast's hair looks like was
Right.
under inspection. And everyone else had these blonde, these little Russian gymnasts had these, like, long blonde hair.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
here comes this more, like, fro-y, crunchier afro. And that was a thing. And it's like, oh my God, are we fucking talking about this?
Yes.
But it was a thing. And this
Lord.
little black girl had to deal with that
Yeah.
while just trying to do backflips. But she has had a number of things named after her now. So it's that, and I find that the sport allows for that, which other
Right.
sports don't. So if you do this particular move and you now do it 2 or 3 times as opposed to just one,
Yes.
you can get this move named after you. So she's
Right.
got like a Biles too, which is like a particular movement that's named after. She's got more things named after her than anyone else,
Jeez.
which means she's pioneered these new moves.
Yeah.
I think it's so smart as well to have that it's like you're following the story real time.
Yeah.
I think that's really brilliant and really engaging. And to be able to find out more about these people while it's happening, you know, because that's the kind of thing. It's like when you're watching a movie, you're looking up things about them, you know, currently. So to have that story that you can actually just follow on your streaming platform is very fun. That's very cool.
Yeah, and I've said this before, that the lens of 2024 is this idea of mental health. And so we are re-looking significant moments in culture through the lens of mental health. So look at the Robbie Williams documentary. Look at the Beckham documentary. It's not just, we're not making these like, oh, and then I scored a goal, and then I did this, and then I did that. It's like, what's interesting is going back into the psychology of these moments. And so what is important in Simone Biles' story was the Tokyo Olympic Games, where she didn't do what everyone expected. Everyone was like, she's going to clean the floor. She kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
And did this like average little dismount and then pulled out.
Yeah.
And everyone thought she was a quitter. And, you know, people love to sort of say she gave up and she's this and, you know, she should be doing this and she should be doing that. Meanwhile, you get to tell the story now, which was like, I was fucking out mentally. And I was in the wrong place. And if I stood, and they called it the twisties.
Right.
It's a term in the gymnast world, which is like your brain is literally twisting.
Right.
You're not right. And she was like, if I stayed in that and continued on one of those dismounts, I could have fucked out. I could have landed on my neck. I could have died. And so the whole thing gets reframed and told through her story. And I just think that's delightful. That not only are we in this age where someone could get a show easily made about themselves so that we can hear the story, but we are seeing it through the lens of mental health, which is amazing and important.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed that. But I've got another one about women and the rights of women and the world's expectation of women. Is a film that's just popped up on Disney Plus.
I know exactly what you're going to talk about, because as soon as I saw a trailer for it, I was like, Russell's going to watch that.
And what is that film called?
I think it's called Young Woman in the Sea.
Yeah, Woman in the Sea.
Woman in the Sea.
Is it Young Woman?
I thought it was Young Woman in the Sea.
Yeah, it's called Young Woman in the Sea.
With Daisy Ridley.
Okay, so Daisy Ridley we know most famously as being part of Star Wars.
Yeah.
She was Rey.
She's a Rey, yeah.
In the latest films that got made. This is the story of Trudy Ederle, who is a swimmer, who famously swam the English Channel and was the first woman to swim the English Channel.
Okay.
So she goes down in history as being this famous swimmer. But this comes at a time when women weren't even allowed to compete.
Yeah.
And so she was one of the first in the American team. It was just like if you could swim decently, you made the team. It was interesting. But the film is all about overcoming adversity. She was almost going to die when she was a little kid. But it's a very beautiful, very well-made, big-budget Disney film that looks pretty. They've like really pulled out all the stops. And she acts her pants off about it. But she sets her sights on swimming the English Channel, which was now only being done by sort of a few handful of people. We are talking, Marigold, like she did it in 14 hours. That's 14 hours of swimming. And when she did it, I don't want to give too much away, but she beat the current men's record. She was the first woman and she beat the men. So at that point became the fastest person. But you're talking jellyfish, you're talking treacherous parts, you're talking currents. It almost makes no fucking sense to do it.
Yes.
And you're like, why would we do this? But it was a big deal at the time. It was a huge deal. She got one of the largest parades in New York history for an athlete. And you watch the movie, I don't want to give too much away. You watch the movie and you're like, this seems a bit overdone. Like, would they really give this much of a shit? And then you see the footage afterwards and you're like, oh my God, this was fucking huge deal. It was a massive deal. But it was also about everyone's expectations of women being completely underestimated, changing the course of history. And it's a lovely watch also when you think about the other movie,
Oh, yes.
which came out recently
Naiad.
on Netflix called Naiad,
Yes.
which was about the 60-year-old long-distance swimmer doing another treacherous route. That was between Florida and Cuba,
Okay.
which is just these amazing swims. They're not allowed to be touched. That's what's an interesting part about this.
Okay.
You can't just like hold onto the boat and
Yeah.
sort of wait for a bit. You can't hold someone's hand. You cannot be touched from the moment they enter the water to the moment they get out on the other side. No one is allowed to touch them. So they have this like long stick with a net, and that's how they grab their food.
Yes.
But they got to pee and do their business in the water.
Yeah.
They got to sort of just tread water while they eat or drink.
That's so
Yeah.
I mean, it's ludicrous.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yes.
sure
And it's like, why the fuck are we
there
doing
has
that?
been like many accidents that happen
Yeah,
with that,
so people
right?
die.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
die all the time. And if you get swept into the wrong current,
Exactly.
so a lot of it also has to do with the luck and the planning.
yeah.
But there's points where you almost got to do this 90-degree turn away from where you're swimming, just so
Right.
that the currents
Doesn't take
will
you.
eventually take you,
Oh,
straight
right.
course.
This is so
Wild.
crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Young Women in the Sea, it is similar to Naiad. These movies start a little bit slow
Yeah.
because it's about a swimmer
Yes.
that's just going to do a long swim, and, you're like, and you don't think it's that interesting.
Yes.
Both of them start quite slow and small, but by the end of it, you are fucking in.
Yeah.
Both of those movies
Okay.
deliver right at the end, because it gets to this point where they have to stand for the first time in like 20 hours.
Yeah.
And their bodies are fucked, and they have to crawl out of the ocean, and no one can grab them until they get out of the water. No one can touch them,
Jesus.
even
So
at
hectic.
that point. So there are these huge moments for like really good Hollywood storytelling with
Yes.
swelling music, and you now know your character. You can feel their determination. So they're like good sports movies.
Yeah.
And the sea is fucking terrifying.
Yes.
So that's
The
another
sea can
thing.
be very terrible.
It's so
Yeah.
scary.
It's a scary place. It's a very interesting place. One of the loveliest, one of the best things about my life was a decision to scuba dive.
yeah.
Oh, right.
The call was made when we were young. My dad grew up in Durban, so always loved the ocean. And it was decided once, hey, let's scuba dive. And as a family, we did like some scuba diving trips.
Okay.
It is by far one of the
It's
coolest
it's
things
amazing.
I've done in my life.
Yeah.
To see like mantis rays.
Yeah.
It looks like
yes.
it's like a scene from fucking Independence Day, where these like giant aliens just
Yeah.
glide and just block the sun because they're massive. And one of the coolest things I did was dive a wreck in the Red Sea.
right.
That's cool.
It's called the Thistlegorn.
Okay.
But it's a huge boat that got bombed. It was an Allied ship that got
Right.
bombed. And so the ship split in half, and these two halves sunk down into
Okay.
the ocean. And you go down the middle and swim through these cabins.
Oh,
And you
right.
see
Jeez.
like trucks and
That's so crazy.
motorbikes.
Jesse.
I've got this memory of looking down and noticing that the rubber, here, shout out to climate change, the rubber is perfectly intact because obviously this plastic doesn't
Yeah.
dissolve in the
Yes.
ocean. But things like the steel fuel canister of a motorbike, that kind of sits between your legs, like that's obviously rusted and got
Yes.
holes in it. And I remember seeing like a fish swimming through
Right.
it,
That's so cool.
But of course the rubber is still intact. But
Yeah.
it's just this moment in history that's just stuck in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was a little bit of a tangent.
Yeah, no.
But loved it. Yeah. Cool. Is there anything else that we're excited about?
Ooh, I'm not sure. Oh, well, this week, today, in fact, technically, we're going to go watch Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to go tonight.
That's right.
A nice big fancy Disney premiere, which is cool.
Mm.
So that should be fun. And we're going to screen it at the Bioscope.
Okay, that's cool.
Marigold, you worked at the Bioscope for many years, and you were part of our like pre-upgrade Bioscope.
Yeah.
And when we upgraded, which means we're now able to screen, bigger releases, which has actually always been the plan of the Bioscope.
Yeah.
We just found it all very overwhelming and very expensive. But when we were able to do it, we were very grateful because there are kinds of movies that the Bioscope could do better than a shopping mall.
I agree.
Yes.
I'm not naming any names. It's not about businesses. It's about where they are.
Yeah.
They're in shopping malls,
Yeah.
which is a particular way to watch a movie.
Yes.
Where in the first movie, you'd love this. I don't know whether you noticed it, but at the time, the first movie we were able to screen with this upgrade was
Poor Things.
Poor
Poor
Things.
Yeah.
Where the people who would love and want to watch Poor Things aren't going to go to a shopping mall on
Yes.
Friday night.
No, exactly.
They want to drink cocktails and be under the stars.
And
Exactly.
super personal.
And it's
super,
personal
it's a
and it's
personal
beautiful.
experience.
It's sort of something out of an art gallery.
It's magic. It's magic, yeah.
And so when something like Deadpool rolls around, it was interesting to think about whether or not that was a Bioscope movie. And it actually was a bit of a debate.
Right.
Because it is super mainstream.
Yeah.
But it's also not, because it's R-rated. So
Yeah.
it's not this kiddies movie. It is going to be more adult, which is
Yeah.
what the Bioscope is.
Yes.
And it's also something that you can play with, because we have 2 slush puppies at the Bioscope behind the counter. We've just chose red and blue,
Yes.
strawberry and raspberry.
Raspberry, yeah.
And I immediately thought, let's play with this, because we have something called a slushed puppy.
Yes.
Which is when we add alcohol into the slush puppy.
Mm-hmm.
So we can keep the red, and then we're going to change the blue to a yellowy orange. It's going to be
Right.
mango. And we can do these like Deadpool, Wolverine,
Yes.
slushed puppies.
There we go. Simple.
Gad, who makes the rock candy, can draw faces into the candy.
Yeah.
And he's going to make Deadpool and Wolverine candy.
Nice.
We have the posters that we sell, and I'm going to get more Deadpool stock.
Cool.
We have the Funkos that we stock, and I'm going to get Deadpool stock. So, like,
Yes.
I realized the Bioscope is perfect for
Yeah,
this.
Yeah.
exactly.
And so it is going to be fun. And so I'm excited to screen that.
Yeah.
Big punt over. Carry on, Graham. Why are you excited about Deadpool and Wolverine?
I'm not sure I am excited about Deadpool. and Wolverine.
Okay, so there we go. That's interesting.
Well, the thing
Perhaps
that
you're not.
I am interested in is having Hugh Jackman back.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like either of the previous 2 Deadpool movies, to be honest. I find Ryan Reynolds' shtick a bit tiring.
Okay.
Um,
Fair enough.
but like I remember, I haven't watched much about it, but I saw the first trailer that came out, and the thing that I got was, fucking hell, Hugh Jackman's a good actor.
Yes.
He's such a good
treasure.
actor.
He's a treasure. And why I thought you might be interested in it is that it's a return to a more original looking Wolverine.
Yes.
So what does
he's
that
finally
mean?
got the yellow costume.
What is that?
Which it's just kind of like his look in the comic books, which in the early like superhero stuff, at least in the X-Men, particularly X-Men really, they really like wanted to like squash that and be like, no, this is serious.
Okay.
They don't wear bright colors. That's silly. They wear black leather. That's serious.
Okay. When they made the movies,
When they
big
first made
X-Men
that,
movies.
the first one that was made by that sex pest who I'm not going to name. They were like they even made a joke about like Cyclops says something to him about what you prefer, like yellow spandex or whatever. But it's a bit like
there was a nod
that's-
to it.
That's like the source material, like the bright colors and like the kind of silliness of superhero costumes
Yeah.
is so like embedded in superhero iconography.
And isn't that a bit of a microcosm of how films were made 20 years ago, where they
Yeah.
were like, no, we are going to update and change.
Yes.
And
And
nowadays,
that's-
the angle of filmmaking today is like, let's be as authentic and as real as possible. Like, if this is a woman's story, like, should we have a woman directing it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, is it, interesting?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But they
so-
seem to like finally be embracing that, and apparently we haven't seen anything. He has like a very particular mask that he wears. They're finally giving him that. Like
Okay.
they're just like embracing the comic bookiness of it,
Cool.
which has kind of been missing from the X-Men movies.
Rad. Okay, lovely. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
What a lovely chat.
Thank
And it was
you.
so nice to see you, Marigold.
Yes.
Lovely to be here.
Thanks for working. Thanks for working finally.
Oh, I know, sorry.
No, you've been so nice and busy. It's just lovely to have you every now and again. So thanks for
Yeah.
popping in. And thanks for listening thus far, everyone. We love you and treasure you and value you buying all your credits for the video store and coming in often to redeem them. So thank you. And just another note that on Thursday this week, we are going to have a guest episode. This happens every now and again. And Angie is going to pop in. So be sure to give that one a listen.
Nice.
It's going to be lots of fun. All right. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.